Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be filming the first content of 2024 for you today. This is the first content that I'm filming, but it's not going to be the first video that you see from me because this video is going to take a while. So basically, without any further ado, we're going to get into what the premise of today's video is. I am going to be doing a TBR scavenger hunt following prompts. Now, I've seen people do this where they pick out books that they've read that correspond to each of the ones, and then they find their next read at the end. I'm going to be doing it as this one is intended and reading 10 books in this one video. I know, crazy, right? So, without any further ado, there's 10 prompts, and I've written them all down in different colours in my notebook. So I'm going to quickly read through what all 10 of the prompts are to you all, uninterrupted now. Then we're obviously going to go prompt by prompt to find a book that fits and try and read 10 books in this video and see how good they all are, basically. Okay, so the prompts are: number 1 is read the most recently added book to your TBR. Number 2 is an opposite colour cover to the one that you just read, like the complementary colour. Number 3 is what is the most common letter in the previous book title, and then find a book that starts with that letter. Number 4 says go to the acknowledgements of the last book. What name did you first see? Find a book written by an author with that name. Number 5 is go to page 34, line 6 of the book you just read. How many words are in that line? Divide that number by 3. That's the amount of words the title of your next book should be. Then number 6 says what object did you first see on the cover of the last book? Find another book with the same object on the cover. Number 7, find a book with the same amount of pages as the last book and read it. Number 8, find another book with a title that has the same amount of letters as the last book and read it. Number 9, flip to any page in the book you just read and point to a random word. The next book title should have that word in the title. Sorry for the hiccups. And then number 10 is find something that really sticks out from the cover of the last book and find a book that has that either in the title or on the cover. Okay, so the first prompt, which we're starting with prompt number 1, is read the most recently added book to my TBR. Now, this is not as straightforward as you might think, because I got a load of books for my birthday, Christmas and Advent, but then I also bought myself some books afterwards. So the most recently added ones are some that I bought myself. I am going to be starting my first read of January 2024, Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I haven't finished yet, don't panic. I'm only like 140 pages in. I just kind of wanted to give a quick little update and let you know that I'm loving this book. Is it a 5-star? Not yet, because I'm not far enough through it to know. It has potential. I'm loving it. And Noah Riley, need I say more? I don't really know what I expected and what I thought this was going to be. I've just heard good things. This is just so good, and I was so confused when I read the blurb. I was very confused because it's like, okay, it's not telling us any names, it's so cryptic. And now after reading the first bit, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see what's happening here. Okay, so it's a few days later now and I finished Say You Swear last night. Guys, this was 5 stars. Noah Riley, 5 stars. I mean, how do you top this? I started the year off so strong. So now that we've read Say You Swear, we are moving on to prompt number 2 for our second read of the video. Which prompt number 2 says what colour was mostly on that cover? Read a book with the complementary colour on the cover. So I'm saying and classing this as primarily purple, right? I know it's quite a lot of black, there's a bit of blue, a bit of pinky purple, spine is purple, there's purple on the cover. I'm going with primarily different shades of purple because these are both, you probably can't see it very clearly, but there's quite a few purples on there and I didn't want to just go with black. So complementary colour to purple is yellow, using my artist brain. So I only have like 2 or 3 options for this. I have The Roommate by Rosie Dammon, but I just really don't want to read that yet. I'm trying to get through some older books on my TBR and some of my newer hardbacks. So I was gonna try and get away with By Any Other Name because it has a bit of yellow, but it's not primarily yellow. I mean, it's mostly purple, so you know, that's not gonna happen. So I think the one which I'm gonna go with is Bright Young Women, because this is very yellow. Yes, there's some pink as well, but like, I mean, yeah, it's mainly yellow. Is there anything under the dust jacket? No. Okay. I've heard good things about this. It's not anything like what I think I would normally pick up, but I'm very interested and intrigued to see how this goes. So I think we're gonna go with Bright Young Women and start this one now. Guys, I'm giving you my little halfway update for this book. So I'm up to page 198. It doesn't have chapter numbers, so page 198. And I'm basically halfway. Like, I'm a little bit over, I think, but pretty much for the sake of this, we're going to say 50% of the way through this book. And I am really, really liking it and really enjoying it. I don't think it's going to be quite like a 5-star for me at this point. I'm not getting that 5-star feeling because I do also just think that it's something a bit more intellectual for my personal tastes. However, it's so good. Like, this book is really hitting and it's touching on some very like important issues and topics. Okay, so I have to be kind of quiet because my family are all asleep and it's late, but I've just finished Bright Young Women. I really enjoyed this. I think this is definitely something that if you really like the genre, you should really read because it has quite a lot of like social topics in here. I really like the fact that they didn't name the defendant. That like took his power away, so to speak, and then it gave the voices back to the women and the victims. I did really enjoy it. It's not 100% my kind of thing, if I'm going to be completely honest, so this isn't, for me, this isn't a 5-star. It's probably sitting more around like a 3.75 because I don't think it's one that will stick with me all year as a standout favourite for me personally, but I see why loads of people do love this and I do think it's an important read. Prompt number 3 says, what is the most common letter in the title of the last book you read? For this challenge, find a book with a title that starts with that letter. So Bright Young Women, it has 2 G's, 2 O's and 2 N's. I do not have a book that begins with G, I don't think, except for Goodnight Mr. Tom. I have a few that start with O, but I don't want to do that and I know exactly which one I want to choose. So the book which I'm picking that fits this prompt for book number 3 that I'm about to start, which I'm hesitant because I've not heard the best things, but I'm going to go in with an open mind because I do love Peter Pan and I'm hoping that I'm going to love it, is Never by Jessa Hastings. Okay, so I'm just giving you my sort of halfway check-in. I'm like ever so slightly over halfway. I'm actually really liking this. Like, I'm enjoying it and having a great time. Like, I love all of the descriptions of Neverland and Jessa's writing is incredible. Obviously, I know that Peter Pan is not a likeable character. Do I like Peter? No. Are you meant to? No, because if you know like the origins of Peter Pan, this is really good, objectively for me. Anyway, I'm really enjoying it. I know not everyone does, so I know this is probably a bit controversial, but you know, I'm giving my thoughts and opinions in this reading vlog. So I quite like Daphne, although she does seem quite indecisive to a point where it is a little bit annoying. Jameson, That's all I'm going to say. But I don't really like Peter, but I know that the point is you're not very meant to, because that's the type of character that he is. So yeah, I am actually having a great time with this, and I really wish that I would have been like annotating it as I went, or at least just like underlining my favourite bit. Yeah, quite a lot's going on so far, and I like the way that we're being introduced to all the different areas of the world. Like, it's very slowly world building. Like, when they go to certain areas, we build it up as we go, so it's not all at once, which I really enjoy. I've just finished reading Never. Oh my god, guys, this is why you shouldn't let anyone else's opinions influence your thoughts on a book before you go into it, because the amount of bad things that I'd heard about this, but I personally really quite enjoyed it. I know not everyone does, and everyone has differing opinions, and like I said earlier, that's the whole point. Like, it's words on paper, we all read the same things, but it emits such a different reaction from everyone. Although I really hope, I believe this is meant to be a series. I flipping hope so, because that ending, oh my god, the ending. But anyway, nevertheless, we have finished Never. So now that we've just read Never, that was book 3. So prompt number 4 says, go to the acknowledgements of the last book. What name did you first see? Find a book written by an author with that name. Okay, so if I don't find an author as the first name, I'll just go by the first name that is an author that I have, if that makes sense. So let's go to the acknowledgements, right to the back. Okay, Ben. No, I definitely don't have any books by Ben. I am 100% certain of that. I don't even know how you pronounce that. Oh, that's not Emily. Ah, okay, I have one by an Emily. Okay, so for book number 4, we are going to be reading Twisted by Emily McIntyre. So let's make a start. Okay, I'm just giving my sort of like little midway check-in with Twisted. I am a little bit more than halfway. So I've made it up to page 261, the start of chapter 27, and I am sort of like annotating a little bit as I go. Not anything too much, it's just kind of like any phrases or sentences that I like the wording of, and any like references to Aladdin. So I am quite enjoying it. It's not my favourite book. It's like very mid and average to me. I don't think it will be anything much more than maybe like a 3.5 maybe at the moment. Okay, so I just quickly want to apologise that there weren't many clips at all for this book. So we've just finished book 4, which was Twisted. I did have a good time with this one. I had a good time, and I would probably rate it like around a 3.5 maybe. It was fine, it was good, it was like a nice little slow burn, which I do enjoy. But yeah, book 4 is done anyway, which thank god, because it was a bit of a brick. Now it's time to pick out book number 5. Prompt number 5 says, go to page 34 line 6 of the book you just read. How many words are there in that line? Divide that number by 3, that's the amount of words the title of your next book should be. Okay, so page 34, where's page 34 here? And then line 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it says, but how can he ask this of me? But how can he ask this of me? So that's 8. So 8 divided by 3 is 2 point something. So because it's not quite 3, 3 would be if it was 9 words, I'm going to go for a 2-letter title, because it's like 2.6 or 7 or something, I think. I'm gonna begin by looking on my January TBR. I have the perfect option. So the next one is going to be Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. So I'm currently on Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I am up to chapter 15, page 149. as I said, apologies that there's not been much footage. Anyhow, so in Regretting You, we are following Morgan and Clara, a mum and daughter, which is a very different kind of concept actually, and I'm really loving this book. So the story revolves around Morgan and Clara, and so Clara's dad, Morgan's husband Chris, gets in an accident which is a bit suspicious, and things happen from that, and then it's kind of them dealing with that. I don't really want to give too much away. That's basically what it says on the back of the book. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying it, and I just want to be able to kind of sit and binge it. Okay, so I have just finished reading Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I actually really quite liked this one. I think it was quite interesting to be from a mother-daughter perspective rather than like your stereotypical romance kind of thing, and I do kind of really like the storyline of what happened and how things rounded out at the end. I do think, obviously, as with most Coho books, like there's quite a lot of like trauma stuff in it, because that tends to be something significant that she always puts in her books, but then I guess it does make it more escapism and enjoyable and gives it a bit more plot to it. So I think I'll probably give this one around a 4-star maybe. I don't think it's anything better than that. Now we've done book number 5. For prompt number 6, it says, what object did you first see on the cover of the last book? Find another book with the same object on the cover. So our next read has to have something the same on the cover as this. Now this literally only has pieces of paper, right? And so at first I was like, do I even have anything that's going to fit that? Like, I don't think I do. So at first I considered the bookshare, because this has like a lot of books and like, yeah, it has little bits of paper, but it wasn't so obvious. And like, these covers are kind of similar because they're both like that same kind of reddishy colour, but then I thought I can do one even better than that. I have this one which I was gifted as part of, I believe it was part of my advent calendar for Christmas from my friend. I have By the Book, and it literally has like pieces of paper on it, and so I thought, you know what, I'm not really feeling the book share just yet. I think we're gonna go for By the Book, and then yeah, see how I get on with this. Apologies if you can't hear me very well, I am kind of losing my voice, but I've started By the Book over the last few days. I really don't want any negativity in this video, and I'm not gonna DNF it yet, but guys, it's not it for me. And you would think with it being Disney related, like Beauty and the Beast sort of retelling, that I would be eating this up, but it's just too cheesy and like just immature and like cliche for me, that I'm just not loving it. And I just find all of like the ties into the original Beauty and the Beast and like things like that too overly done and immature in this. I reckon I'm probably about like 40% of the way or something like that, around there. So I do think it's good enough that I can probably sort of manage to just push through. Apologies that there really wasn't much footage, but I finished By the Book. I know I've been so bad in this vlog at getting like actual footage of me reading these, but where I got about 100 pages in and wasn't sure if I was going to DNF it or not, I pushed through for the video. Here's the thing, right, it wasn't the worst thing that I've ever read, but it by far was not the best, okay? so I don't rate this very highly, and like at least now I can say that I've read it before I donate it to a charity shop or something, because this is one that I'm never going to reread. I just think parts of it were way too cringy for me, and the storyline was very predictable. Like, I guessed almost all the ending. I don't know, it was fine, like when we got sort of a bit more stuck into their actual story, but that's all I can say, is it was fine. It was definitely not a favourite. I do this morning still have to fill in my little reading journal spread for it. So this is my little February title page. So it's the first one which I finished this month. I've started to do my journal spreads a little bit differently. So before, let me show you a couple of them. So like, these were my ones for Bright Young Women and Never. So I was adding a bit of like washi tape that kind of matched and doing some doodles and just writing my thoughts, right? That's normally how I always do it. But then, like with Regretting You, I saw people do it this way, where they put like all their information up here for like pages, and when they started the book and stuff, do a synopsis and then bullet point their thoughts. And I just thought that was so much better and so cool, so that's how I'm going to be doing that one later. Time to pick our next read. Number 7 says, find a book with the same amount of pages as the last book and read it. So quite a nice, straightforward, simple one. And I had to like give this one a bit of pre-thought, because honestly that's not the easiest thing to do when you've got so many books on your shelf and you think, oh, that looks like it's going to be the same amount, but it's really not. It did say you can go within like a 10, 20, 30 page sort of range if you're really struggling, because I don't think you're ever going to get exact. So this book was 309 pages. I don't know if you're even going to be able to see that. Probably not. But it was 309 pages. So the book which I've picked to be next is All This Time, and this one is 319. So yeah, we're only like 10 pages out, which is pretty good actually, I think. So, and I'm really excited for this one. Okay, so far I'm 57 pages into All This Time. I'm at the start of chapter 7. It started out quite heavy, I'm not gonna lie, for like a YA book. I get that it's setting the scene of what it describes on the blurb. I'm going to try and keep this completely spoiler free, like I'm not even really going to discuss the plot, because I don't want to ruin it for people in case they want to see it for themselves. But I'm struggling a bit, and I don't know if it's me or the books, or if I'm possibly in a mini book slump. Now, I don't want to say I'm completely in a book slump, because it's not that I have no desire to read, I don't think. And you would think that after just receiving over the course of December and that so many new books to fully restock my now vast selection, that I would be itching to read. And I was, at the start of this video, I was raring to go. And I can't tell if it's just where I'm anemic and so low energy and low mood, or if it's a book slump and it's like the books or what, because by the book, that was not it for me, and I fear that's made it worse trying to push through. And like, this one's fine, and I know like it could be really good, or I could at least enjoy it enough. But anyway, I did find that the audiobook for this is on Spotify, and it's only like 7 or 8 hours long, so it's not going to use up all my Spotify credits. I started off with the audiobook to kind of start getting into it, and then I went to reading it physically, and now I'm just a bit... So I'm hoping if I can knock it out with the audiobook, probably tomorrow, maybe the day after as well if I need to, whilst I do some other tasks. At least it'll knock another one off the TBR and get another one under my belt. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to jump in and say, like, not everything, like, this video may seem straightforward, but like not everything always goes to plan, and you just have to have a bit of grace with yourself. Okay, so sorry there was like literally no footage of this, but I've just finished All This Time. Again, probably like another 2.5 kind of read. I don't think that these like last couple of books have really helped my like little bit of a reading slump that I think I'm in. if I'm going to be completely honest with myself. Although today's been a very bad health day, so that hasn't helped. But yeah, I pretty much just binged the audiobook of this today. It was better than by the book a little bit, but it was still quite like cheesy, and I'm trying to be a bit more honest with my ratings this year, not just give everything like a 3 or 4 stars. I did enjoy this, but it's not anything that I would ever reach to reread. So yeah, this one is now done. So we are 7 books in to this video, when there's going to be a total of 10. So the next prompt says, find another book with a title that has the same amount of letters as the last book and read it. So that one had 11 letters. Yes. And I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. So the book which I'm going to choose next, which hopefully is going to help to drag me out of my reading slump, it's not too long, but it should be quite gripping, I hope. I don't really know. We're going with Daisy Darker, because for a few reasons. Firstly, haven't read a thriller in a while. I know that I read Bright Young Women, but that was a bit of like a boring-ish thriller to me, in the sense that it wasn't like everything had like a twist and stuff. It was you were following these victims. So I haven't read like many thrillers anyway in a while. This is also on my 24 books to read in 2024. Look how stunning the edges are. It's not too long. I've had this on my shelf a little while. I know nothing about it, so I don't really want to read the blurb. I'm probably just going to go in blind. But yeah, I think we'll tackle this one next. Okay, so this isn't really a midway check-in, because I'm up to page 131, the start of chapter 18, so I'd say I'm probably about a third of the way through. Yeah, like a third, 40%, something like that. I am actually really enjoying this. I'm finally enjoying what I'm reading. This is so much better because it's short chapters, it's fast-paced, it's keeping me hooked. I'm loving it. I love the fact it also comes with a matching bookmark. This is, I think it says this is like the independent bookshop exclusive edition, because I did wonder why in my bookstore, local bookstore, it was like a completely different cover, but I love it. Like, I'm obsessed, and I'm just eating it up, honestly, and I'm having a great time. Guys, I just finished it. I have some mixed feelings and thoughts on this book, right? Don't get me wrong, I had a great time reading it and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it definitely made me excited to read it, right? But I'm still not entirely quite sure what I'm going to rate it, because a big part of this I did kind of predict going through it because of how things were written. I didn't predict everything at the end, and I was okay. The 2-part reveal at the end, I'm going to try and do this, no spoilers. One of the big parts of the reveal at the end, I partially spoiled for myself, because I was flipping through to see how many pages, and then I accidentally saw a little spoiler and read it before I got there. By accident. I didn't actually go out of my way to read it, I just registered a few words. But the other part to that shook me. I was like, okay, that was great. The part that I had guessed was, I don't know, I'm glad that I managed to pick up on it and guess it,
but it did make it feel a bit more underwhelming. Now, what I will say about this book is that the first like third I found quite gripping, suspenseful, like I was in it, I was like, oh my god, kept going, kept turning the page because I wanted to know more, right? Then in the middle we get quite a lot of like the past stuff, which is important to the story. Okay, so now having finished the book, I see where they were going, but I feel like keep going back and forth between the past and the present took me out of the suspensefulness of the present timeline, if that makes sense. Because when we were in the present, I was like hooked. I was like, oh my god, I need to know what's going on. But in the past, obviously it wasn't as gripping, but you need that backstory of at least some of the bits of the past to kind of understand everything that's happening. Now, I will say I think this was quite clever, and I did enjoy it, and I had a good time reading it, and it gave me giddy feelings. So I am going to go off of feelings, but also kind of take some of the predictability and slower paced bits into account. So I'm thinking at the moment possibly like a 3.75 or a 4 stars, probably a 4 I think, because I did just have quite a good time reading it and found it quite, like I was quite attached to wanting to read it. So at the minute I'm going to give it a 4. Since we finished that one, we're now moving on to book number 9, so we're almost done. So prompt number 9 says, flip to any page in the book you just read and point to a random word. The next book title should have that word in the title. Interesting. Okay, so if I point to a word that isn't in a book title, I'll just find a new word. So, and. That's quite good. Surely I must have some with and in the title, right? I've got a Court of Thorns and Roses. Let's see what else I've got. Oh my god, do I not have many? Hang on. Wait, maybe this will be harder than I thought. Well, at the minute the only option is a Court of Thorns and Roses. Oh my god. Wait, why do barely any of my book titles actually have and in them? Oh my god, is it going to have to be a Court of Thorns and Roses? I wanted to save that for a series reading vlog. Oh my god, no. Okay, I can do one of my 24 books for 2024. This is so exciting. I can do Our Secrets and Scars. Oh my god, I've been desperately dying to read this book, and it's like, it's only about just under 300 pages actually, and the cover is stunning. Like, that is beautiful, all those purple flowers. I know you can't really see it very well with the light because the lighting is absolutely rubbish. I'm gonna do this one. Okay, I'm not finished yet, don't worry. I'm about halfway, so I'm doing my little midway check-in, as I have done for all the other books. Guys, look, I've been annotating as I go. I don't know if you can see all that properly, but I've annotated a lot. This book, guys, I already know it's going to be 5 stars. Like, I'm just so giddy with a 5-star feeling the whole time I'm reading this, and it's just so, like, it's got that like deeper connection of like a bit of a more emotional romance that I really enjoy. Okay, so I have to be kind of quiet because my family are all asleep, and I'm going to be kind of probably quite quick for that same reason, but I just finished Our Secrets and Scars, and guys, 5 stars, easily. Are you kidding? Look how much I flipping annotated it, like, just under 300 pages. This was such a good romance that I was highly anticipating, because I read The Truth About Love by Maisie Myers last year and gave that 5 stars, and I loved this as well, so I can't wait to see what else she comes out with and to maybe visit some of her older stuff. So now comes the tricky part, which is trying to decide my next read. So the next prompt says, find something that really sticks out from the cover of the last book and find a book that has that either in the title or on the cover. Now, there's only 2 things on the cover that stand out, and that is the violets, so the purple flowers, and the letter. So these are my options. Now, the thing is, I can't really choose by length because they're both very long. This one's like 600 pages, this one's like 500. They're also both on my 24 books for 2024. Now, the thing is, the letter, like A Love Letter to Whiskey, there's a letter on the cover. This is probably the better sort of fit for the prompt. However, this one has the purple flowers, not exactly the same, but still. And one of my goals for this year is to read less romance overall and a greater like mix of my genres, like a more even mix. And I know that my next lot of books are going to be romance as well, so, and I desperately want to read both of these so bad. And as much as I do want to go for this one, and I feel like I probably should, I think I'm going to go for Powerless next. Okay, so I thought I would kind of give my midway check-in now, even though I'm 210 pages in, it's 500 pages, so I'm not quite halfway, but like, you know, I'm a decent chunk of the way in. I am annotating it, although I'm trying a new method, so rather than highlighting or using a biro to underline, I'm like underlining with a purple fine liner so that it all matches, and I just think that's so superior. I love it so much more. But anyway, so this book we are following Kai and Payden. Payden is an ordinary and they're not meant to exist in Ilia. I think that's how you say it. Because they're all meant to be like killed off when they're discovered, so that the elites, which are the people that have powers, don't get like infected, and they can still exist. So yeah, she's kind of posing to be one of them so that she's not like eliminated. And I've just got to the start of the trials. We've had the first ball. There's just like the tension and the angst with this between the 2 characters is like, it's doing something for me. Okay, so I finished reading Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I annotated a lot of it, and I've done it all in purple except for one blue tab. If you know, then you know, when she asks him what his favourite colour is. But I did just want to quickly do a recap of this video. So we read 10 books. I'm not going to pick them all up because I don't have the strength to do that. Quick notes and thoughts on Powerless. I really loved it, gave it 5 stars. I loved the tension and the angst and the banter, and the whole like trials aspect kind of really gave me Hunger Games and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire vibes, especially with the maze. If you know, you know. So for a quick little recap, we began with Say You Swear, which was 5 stars. Guys, we actually had like 3 5-star reads in this video. What? I hadn't had a 5-star in months. So we started with Say You Swear, then we had, sorry if I'm looking off over here, that's where the books are stacked. Then we moved on to Bright Young Women, which I think I would lower my rating a little bit since, just because in comparison, like, it wasn't quite as gripping as I thought, but I'm going to leave it as it is for now. Never, which I really loved actually. Twisted, which was like very average. Regretting You was quite average as well. buy the book, which I wasn't keen on at all. In fact, I'm getting rid of that one. Same with All This Time, but I'm glad that I still got round to them. Daisy Darker, which I really, really liked. Our Secrets and Scars, sorry, which I rated 5 stars, and obviously Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which I also rated 5 stars. So yeah, a very successful video overall, and I'm quite glad that I did this because it made me read some books that I really wouldn't have got round to anytime soon otherwise. I had a great time and I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I will have other videos coming soon throughout the year. Just as and when, like I say, please bear with me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff you guys know how to do. And hopefully I'll see you in another one very soon.